back to the Got Her Back podcast.
Hey, ladies.
What's up?
I saw you yesterday.
You did.
I did. That was fun.
It was.
And Megan got the Cybertruck.
Oh.
Am I supposed to say that or no?
It is.
No,
what
it's
it
okay.
is. Everybody seems
Yeah.
to know these days.
Yeah.
All my business.
It's so cool. It's pretty cool. I can't wait to take a little ladies' night.
It looks so cool. Like that. First of all, the red it came that way or
No.
it was wrapped that way?
They all come silver.
Okay.
So then, like, if you see one that's a color, that means it was wrapped.
Is yours the Cyber Beast?
No, it's not.
Okay.
Got two, so there's 1, 2, or 3 motors. Mine's 2.
So,
But it is a foundation series, so it's like the upgraded series. So that's
again, I don't know how we're friends because, like, people are, like, flocking to her to, like, take pictures and stuff. I would, like...
It's kind of scary.
I would die.
It's kind of like at Tom Thumb. So the first night, Taryn and I went to go to like try to charge it, and we didn't know what we were doing. And
Yeah.
So I've never had an electric car. So I saw like a girl and a guy walk to their car, and I had turned around to like try to like. That's when I realized like, oh, I need an attachment. It doesn't. This cord does not go into here because it wasn't an actual Tesla charger. And so I turn around and she's like right there. She's like, hi. And I'm like, hi. And she was kind of younger, but the guy wasn't with her. And so she starts asking me questions, but it was weird questions. And she was like, so what do you do for work?
See, I would automatically...
Oh my God.
No,
Do
I would automatically think they were going to kill me.
Yeah, I did. I thought, like, in my mind, I was like, my anxiety told me, like, is she trying to set me up to like, distract me
Yeah.
for him to come to try to, like, steal the car?
Because people
Like,
do that, Megan.
Yeah, like, I was stressed. So then, I just told her what I did. I was like, I'm an insurance agent. So then she was sweet. She was like, you know, she was like, well, whatever you're doing it right.
You should have said I'm an Uber driver.
Yeah.
Or a vacuum salesperson?
I sell vacuums.
I sell vacuums door to door. You
Yeah.
should.
She ended up, so then she was like, can you turn the headlights on? And I was like, okay.
No,
I
I'd be
think
out.
She wanted to take a picture as well.
What have you been
She
doing?
wanted you to be a video girl, like those.
Her production crew.
A video hoe?
No, like, you know, the car.
That's what she wanted me to be, a video
No,
hoe.
like a car. You know, did you guys used to do import nights back in the days? You know, that was like my dream to be an import girl, and I was at Hot Import Nights one year.
I don't even know what that
I
is.
don't even know what that is.
It's where you have the girls in the bikinis next to the hot cars.
Oh, like the car hoe.
Yeah. Yeah. You want
That's
me
what
to
you
be
were.
I was not a
video.
car hoe.
Yes, you were.
Yeah. Video
I
hoe.
have to show y'all. I'm about to.
Did you have the Jennifer Aniston cut in your...
We don't
No,
use
this is my 2000s. I'm gonna show you guys, but yeah, that was like everything to me. But
That was your dream.
that was I wanted to be an import model.
Here, let's cheers to that.
I wanted to be an import model, and I have photos to show.
We have
y'all.
switched from coffee to tequila.
Here we go.
I'm in on it. Oh my gosh, and today we're talking about relationship PTSD.
Oh.
Love it.
Yeah, I got a lot of that.
We can
You do?
definitely.
Yeah.
You have... You?
Who, me?
I was laughing when I was listening to another one of our episodes whenever you said, oh, I'm so tolerant. And I was like, you?
Yeah. Unfortunately, like, I'm not tolerant in like day-to-day life, but in my relationships, I tend to tolerate way too much.
Oh, yeah, of
So
course.
it's not like, it's almost like whoever I'm with is like, well, it's not everybody, because it's weird. Like in dating, I'm like, if they act a fool, I'm like, bye.
Mm-hmm.
But like, if I love that person,
You're
or if
tolerant.
yeah, I'm tolerant.
Yeah.
Yes, very.
Would you say you're a tolerant person?
Me?
Yeah.
I am. But then again, you know, Trent is my only
Like
longest
serious relationship.
I didn't last more than 6 months.
Same. Before my
I couldn't-
marriage,
yeah.
same. I was the same.
Why do you think that is?
It took a while for me to feel comfortable with people. Like, I mean, I'm pretty sure when you're dating somebody, you usually, you know, build a wall. But Trent knew me from, you know, Trent knows everything about
I think
me.
because y'all started your relationship differently. Maybe?
Yeah, but he knows all my, I wouldn't say all my secrets, but like there's nothing that I've done that he doesn't know, like nothing that I'm ashamed of.
Yeah.
You know what I
Have
mean?
you found that there are things? So for me, like sometimes if something like irritates you suddenly, or you get triggered, and you're like, "What was that?" or "Where was that from?" Do y'all ever have that happen?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What for you, Maria? Can you think of anything?
I would say it's
Or is it usually just out of left field?
it's it's like I want to go deep, but I don't want to go. You
Okay.
know, we've talked about this before. There's things I want to share
That you can't.
that on social media or like on our podcast that I don't feel comfortable sharing yet because of like my past. And maybe one of these days we will. But
Megan, for you, we'll skip that for
Yeah.
Maria.
Yeah, like I think I for sure have abandonment issues. So like when, you know, like I'm like scared of like falling in love and then, you know, it not working out and then someone leaving me because I, you know, and I think that stems from my childhood, you know, because losing, you know, parents and, you know, like it's rough, it's tough. So I would say my number one issue is like abandonment issues.
And not only did you lose your parents, but then you lost a child, and then you've also lost your stepdad, what you know, that you grew up with. So now I feel like that's like a lot.
Yeah, like for a long time, I felt like, you know, I almost felt like, you know, and I'd also lost a boyfriend in a car wreck in college.
You did?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I did. Y'all didn't know that?
No.
You didn't?
No.
Yeah, he took my car and he flipped a bridge. And
In your car? Megan.
Yeah, he took my car and flipped a bridge. He hit black ice and flipped it, and it went end over end and killed him instantly.
In high school or college?
I was a freshman in college.
Oh my gosh. How long had y'all dated?
About a year.
What?
Yeah, I would say it was like my
How
first
do I
true
not know
love.
this?
Yeah.
I feel like we keep
Stop it
unlocking
right
things
now.
that we don't know about each other because of this podcast.
I know it is. I
But-
feel like it like just this podcast is like I mean, we were already close, but I feel like it just is like draws us
Yeah.
closer and closer and closer together. It's really been a good outlet for me. So I love y'all.
I love
Oh
you
my
guys.
gosh.
too.
So y'all were together for a whole year and then that happened.
Yeah,
Wow.
he was. We talked about it in previous episodes. He was the one that looked like Tupac.
Oh
So
no!
What was his name?
Jimmy,
Jimmy.
and he was a really good basketball player.
Oh, I thought I said he could.
No, and he could jump out of the gym.
Her mind is in the gutter today with the choo choo and the pivoting and the
girl.
oh my god, it's usually like one of us.
Yeah, I'm
It
loving
has
this, Maria.
switched.
I
What
think
is
it was
happening?
about that last episode we did.
So it's just, I think for me, like for a long time, I felt like anybody I got close to died. And so it was like, you know, like I'd lost the closest people in my life other than like, thank God I haven't lost a sibling, you know, like, so it just, I have no living parents, no living grandparents, you know, lost a baby at this point, lost a boyfriend. So it's rough. So that's like a lot
Wow.
of abandonment.
That
you
is
know?
crazy.
So just finding someone to just be there for you.
So,
and-
like, if you were to possibly get in an argument, say, like, throughout your marriage or something like that, would you automatically think like he was leaving or like?
Well, yes, because he would say that. And then I would say, yeah, like I would say the first half of
So
my
it
marriage.
wasn't just a trigger; it was
No.
said.
Yeah. So the first half of my marriage was like literally every time we got into a fight, he would pack his stuff up and say he was going to leave.
Yeah.
And so then I would say the last fourth of my marriage.
It was flip flopped. I think it was you
because
telling
I
him.
had tolerated so much that I got to the point where every time we got into it, like I just wanted to be done because I had felt like I couldn't take one more thing. I just couldn't take one more thing, and it was a way to just get it off of me. Like I kept telling myself like we were going to counseling, and they were saying like, you know, people can get over a lot of different things, and you can get over this. And I kept thinking in my head, I'm like, okay, you're telling me this, but can I really? You know, and maybe I could have, you know, if I felt like the person was really, you know, sorry, or maybe they really, you know, wanted to make some changes, you know, for the better of our family, but it just didn't work out that way.
And sometimes people just say what you want them to hear, like what they know you want to hear, and then you are left like there's no action behind
Right.
the.
Or change for a week or two, or 30 days, or 60 days.
And then it just
go
becomes
right
a
back.
pattern. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why I say now, I'm like, just listen to actions and words mean nothing. You know what I mean? Honestly, because a lot of people don't match up.
Yeah. So I would say that for sure, abandonment is my number one trigger for sure in any relationship, even in dating. You know, like if someone threatens me, and then so now I'm kind of like, ooh, you know, like I don't know, you know, so
Threatens you.
you know, like if they like you get into a fight and it just doesn't go, but learning to like communicate healthy has been like eye opening for me. So
I feel like that co-parenting class has been super interesting, and I feel like I'm like learning from your co-parenting class because I
one
usually.
thing I'd say to you, like I would say from my co-parenting class. So one thing I learned about my like personality, because I feel like we're both type A. So
You don't think I'm type A?
Y'all keep saying type what? So what is type A?
like a driver. So
A
like
control freak.
control. That's you.
Oh.
Yeah, like you are the driver in your household. Like yes, for sure.
No, but see, that's where Trent balances me out because I am.
Yeah,
But there's something about him that, like.
Because he's more free, go with the flow.
No, he's still the alpha.
okay,
But.
listen to this.
So, like.
He's
When
not
you're-
controlling.
What we
No,
just
he's
talked
not.
about
No,
when
he's
you
not.
didn't want to go into it. So you said like the max I'd been in a relationship before Trent was 6 months. So our personality types, we tend to get bored quickly. You've talked about you talked about it on the podcast.
Yeah.
So when you get bored quickly, it's hard to like. You're like, no, this is not good.
You're like
So,
over the
you're
relationship.
Like I'm over it. I'm gonna, just move on. And so that is where like that's what I learned in co-parenting class about my personality. So then if you do stay, like, like you stayed and you fought through like getting bored, you know what I mean? And look,
Yeah.
it's become like a lifelong, marriage for you.
Yeah.
I stayed when I stayed and finally like got past my 6-9 months, the max I'd been with was the boy that died in the car wreck. And so it was a year, but I would average 6 or 9 months and before my marriage. And so when I actually stuck, but then it just over time became, it wasn't all bad. My marriage was not all bad, it just had a lot of, I would say it was like really good. And then it had things that were really bad. It was like extremes,
But see, like me and Trent, I think this is why we worked so well. We had a baby before we actually.
Y'all had to learn how to communicate and co-parent before y'all had a
And
relationship.
yeah. So when we were dating back then, it wasn't serious. I was 21 years old. I wanted to just have fun and enjoy life. And he actually had a girlfriend. So I felt really bad for, being.
Oh, that comes out. I didn't know that part.
Yeah.
Oh, you
you
left
read
that
his
part
previous
out.
book. Read his
Oh.
previous
Oh,
book.
I knew that.
I didn't
Yeah.
know
So
that.
I was
The side
the
chick.
side chick.
You were the side chick?
But I was 21 and I didn't care because I didn't want a serious relationship.
Yeah.
One night, got pregnant, and
Hey, that was the best oops you have
yeah.
ever
And
had.
so we've always just put Tristan and his needs first. Of course, I did have feelings for him, but
You did, but you didn't tell him?
no, I just, first of all, he was an athlete. He was a football player. I'm not dumb. Like, I'm going to do my thing. You're going to do your thing. We're going to parent. And
That's
we'll see
probably
where
what,
it goes.
Honestly, because you didn't give a F.
Yeah.
A fuck. Here.
Where's
find
that
10.
10?
I'll put it. No.
Here you go.
Yeah. I'll put it.
That's probably
I
what drew
did.
him to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I would say, like, with my husband, he was the first guy in my life I didn't chase. Like, literally, I had just broke up with a boy, went home, it was my birthday, and I hadn't seen him in 7 years. And we were at the club, and we were in line, and maybe I'd gained a little weight. Maybe I'd gotten, some boobs, whatever, grown my hair out. So I had short hair in college.
Megan, is that you?
Yeah.
Megan, is that you?
Yeah.
Is that what he said?
It was.
At a college party?
No, I was in the line at the club.
Oh, yeah, at a
Yeah.
club.
So it's just, and I didn't, we spent that night together or whatever, and the next day he's telling me to come to the club he was at. And I was like, no, I'm going to go back over here. And I actually met another guy that second night, that I was actually probably more attracted to at the time because he played basketball,
The
was
truth
really
comes
tall.
out.
Oh yeah. No, he knows. I told him,
Yeah.
Later on I told him. And then Sunday I was driving back to Texas and he was like, are you going to come see me? And I'm like, boy, I'm already halfway back. No, I'm not, So
Yeah, that probably was a turn on.
yeah. So I think it's probably the same for Trent.
But it's so funny because they always said that the fact that I hate saying that word because I think you really did like me, but I hate saying the side chick word. But people are probably like, well, aren't you worried that since you were the side chick that he's not gonna?
I think
No,
that's
because y'all were so young.
I think that's valid. Though.
Yeah.
I think that's valid.
it does happen. So
Yeah.
we're like one of those rare moments that we actually got to know each other as parents. And he didn't propose to me until Tristan was 6 years old. So
I remember.
Yeah. And so I
Wasn't
moved.
it at his birthday?
It was at his birthday party.
Yeah.
So let me take you guys on a
Whole journey.
So I lived in Indianapolis, and we met there, and so we had a baby, obviously. So Tristan was about 3 years old. Then I decided I'm going to move to Texas in 2012 because I'm going to make a good decision because my son needs his father.
Yeah.
I can't raise a boy, and plus I wanted to get out of the town that I was in.
Right.
And so if me and him don't work out, there's more fishing to see in Texas, So he knows this. And so we just started falling in love with each other.
Just from co-parenting.
Yeah. I met him when he was in the NFL. Then
you see a side of him.
I saw
when he's not.
the vulnerable side, of him. And I was still there. I didn't tear him down.
Because that was his hard time.
Yes. I didn't tear him down because why would I tear down the father of my child in front of my child? You know what I mean? And so I think just from that, we just grew together and we just realized that maybe we are meant to be.
Yeah.
Not going to lie. I think I kind of fell in love with his parents before I fell in love with him.
I love his parents
was amazing.
too. Yeah.
They were.
They were.
I love his parents.
And so now, and granted, he does a lot of the whole motivational speaking thing. And as much as I don't want to be, he kind of grounds me in a way.
He gives you those inspirational
Yes.
talks, those motivational
Even when I
talks.
don't feel like
He throws them in there all the time.
just
When we're talking, I'm like, did he just
Carrie,
motivate?
what?
He just rehabbed me.
Did he just rehab me and I didn't even know it? It kind of worked.
Yeah.
So that just works for us.
Yeah.
As far as PTSD in our relationship, there are things that I know he doesn't like to be yelled at. He doesn't like to, he just.
That's similar for me. I don't like the voices elevated or
I'm a
things
yeller.
that I think maybe because I'm a child of domestic abuse, seeing domestic abuse. So I think that's what always made me so timid and more just kind of I'm softer. I just kind of fell in between somewhere in there. But anytime there's a non-confrontational, I guess, just because I was raised up in such a chaotic, confrontational environment, anytime I'm around it, it just, even if I'm not a part of it, I'm automatically feel used to, I would feel now what I know is a panic attack. I didn't know then, but now I feel it, but I can I just got to remove myself from the situation for a second. And I think that's, PTSD from childhood, because we discovered a lot of that from EMDR and stuff like that. I talk about that being one of the coolest things ever me and you both experienced.
Yeah,
Don't you think? And for
Maria
people who
would
don't
tell you
know
about that.
For people who don't
EMDR?
know what EMDR
Yeah. Is that the
is,
parenting class?
no, it's a type of counseling. So you can find a counselor that specializes in EMDR, and they say that
What does EMDR
with
stand
them,
for? Emotional.
I don't know.
hold on,
have to
I'll
Google
tell
it.
you. Yeah, hold on, I'll tell you. But basically, they'll use either clicking or lights or something like that. They'll
Their
use
hand.
something, and it speeds your counseling session along, something that from your trauma. Sometimes, trauma like mine, she said could take me 3 years to go through all of it, but with EMDR, I could get through it in maybe 2 or 3 months. So you're accelerating the process because they're basically taking you back to that, and you're processing much faster.
Yeah.
It was just
So-
crazy. It was the craziest experience.
And it's cool because me and Megan did it at similar times, and so we could actually lean on each other and talk through it. And what I thought about yours was really cool, and I don't know if I could even bring it up, but
No, you can.
I think that it's interesting that you always say that I fly by the seat of my pants, and you say that all the time, but you don't. And you do, but you don't. And I think it's you trying to be different. You know what I mean? I know you don't like schedules and calendars and all that, but then you say your mom was very scheduled and very calendar and but I think that you get that from her, but you push
Or maybe
it
you
away.
don't want
I
to,
think she doesn't realize it or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah,
you know?
I think too, in my EMDR sessions, it was God, I remember going, and one time I was driving there, and I called Carrie, and I'm she's going to take me back to we've talked about it in the daddy issues episode, you know, from the day that like when my dad attempted to kill my mother, and I was scared, like, because she asked me, did I remember? And I told her no. And
Megan
so
was scared she was going to
I was
actually
going to remember there, but I didn't. Thank God, because I didn't want to. But what I learned from that session that day was like all the things that I feared in my marriage or as a mother, like come like from my childhood, like never wanting to be like my dad. Like I don't ever want to be that. I've always seen him as like the monster in the closet. You know what I mean? Even though maybe he was a really good guy, I didn't know him. You know what I mean? I only know what others have told me.
Your dad probably was a decent guy, but that had a lot of demons of his own,
Right.
and he didn't have counseling, and he probably, went through serious depression that was untreated, maybe bipolar, anything.
Yeah.
So it's definitely just a chemical imbalance, probably.
Were you ever, speaking about your biological dad, did you ever have that itch to kind of find out? Or like, do you know his
She
family?
has family members she gets to talk to.
Okay.
Too,
Yeah,
still.
like I don't think you've met him yet, but Carrie knows him. I have a boy cousin that actually lives in Dallas, and his mom his mom is my real dad's sister. So there's 3 boys on that side. But yeah, like, so it's just,
I think she gets tidbits here and there.
like you're going to get different, you're going to get different versions.
So,
Probably the first time I ever like heard something good about my dad was in my 30s, and it was from a family friend here that grew up with my brothers that knew my dad, and he was like, his name was Jeff, and he was like, your dad was a good guy, like he loved your mother, he loved you kids, he he
probably wasn't having, he just mentally.
So EMDR stands for eye movement desensitization and reprocessing.
Okay.
So they use light or whatever with your eyes. And what they'll do is like ask you about something in your past so that you can give her something, and she'll speak on that with the light or with whatever to take you back there. And then you get to like process more rapidly. So I'll say, for example, and I'm not sure if I should do this, but I'll just do it. So we talked, I do this all the time. I'm like, I don't think so, but yeah, I'll just do it.
Let's just do it.
So for me, like, I didn't know this, but she took me back to this little trailer house we lived in. And we like, I remembered I was like 5-ish in kindergarten getting off the bus, and she like straight up took me back there, and we talked it through with little things that I remembered. And then I would remember like so much more. And I was only 5. So, I remember getting off the bus. I remember like exactly how it looked when I walked in and everything that had went down, which was like super, super traumatic and crazy. But I remembered it then. But then there was holes in it, like where she would ask me and I'd be like, I don't know. Or she'd be like, where was your mom? And I would be like, I don't know, And so every time I would leave, I would call my mom. So I'm thankful that I have my mom to actually call. Like you can't call either one of yours, but I can call her and say, like, you could call Stephanie probably, and she fills in holes. But I'll call my mom and be like, hey, like, this is where I remember up to, but then where were you at that moment? And then she would pick up and be like, oh, I was, I got scared and ran out, and I was hiding behind a tree until daylight, or, whatever. It was just like these crazy like things, but you would process. It was crazy. Like, so you got to process it super fast, and then I would like move through it. So I think that's why I can talk about it now, because I went through all those things. So if anybody's ever going through that or trauma, especially like with childhood or things like that, I think that was really cool. And I do remember that you remembered that the day that everything went down with your mom, I think that you remembered that was the first day that you ever curled your hair by yourself. Did I make that up?
Yeah, you did. Like the day my mother committed suicide.
The day your mom.
Yes. So it was actually, I could tell you, it was scoliosis day testing, and I didn't wear a bra, and so I didn't want to go to school.
Right.
And so I was like saying I was sick, and so
she kept telling her mom that morning
I was
she was
like,
sick.
I'm sick, and my mother we had short hair, and so we just curled the ends under. We had boy haircuts, like a bowl haircut.
It was so cute on you, Meg.
So ugly. And I kept saying, like, I don't want to go to school, like, I don't feel good. And so then I decided, I was like, I could tell she was agitated. And so I thought, well, I'll go and try to curl my hair myself and show her. So I went and curled my hair myself for the first time. And I was like, look, I feel better. I'm going to go to school. But, you know, I lived with that burden. God, I want to get emotional. I lived with that burden for a lot of years. Like,
Hug her.
like wishing, like, what if I would have
What if you didn't
yeah,
go?
like what if I would have just stayed home? You know what I mean? But I had to come to the conclusion that
And what did your counselor tell you, or our counselor tell you?
if it wasn't that day, it would have been another day. You know?
Because her mom was very calculating and scheduled and intentional. Like if it wouldn't have been that day, because Megan did decide to go to school, and that's when it happened. The counselor was like, she already had her mind made up.
Yeah.
Like, if it wouldn't have been that day, it would have been another day. Like it would, just because you didn't go to school doesn't mean she wouldn't have went through.
When you
with
talk
it,
about
you know?
like going back, like just shows like how much of a planner my mother was.
Yeah.
She had took us on a shopping spree. She worked at a part-time at a children's clothing store, and we had a brother that was getting married. So she had already like bought our dresses for their wedding, and you know, was already planning for like the next season, like having us. And I remember thinking back, and you don't think about it until later, like when you get older, and you're like, well, she was planning, you know, she was planning for like the winter, like for us to have winter
be able
clothes
to have all
and to
those.
have the dresses and to have, you know.
So
and
she already knew.
She already knew.
She already knew. And like, thank goodness, like you weren't there.
Yeah. And I think like in the EMDR, like probably the best thing like that I took from it was that like I'm not like my dad. You know what I mean? Like,
No.
I know, but like when I get a temper or I get angry, you know,
You?
like, yeah. My head goes to like, God, I don't want to be that, because I see like that was like somebody with a temper, you know, that did what he did. But I have to realize that like my mother was a survivor, right?
Yeah.
Like she fought to live that day. And I would consider myself a survivor too.
I would consider you.
Yeah.
And I don't consider
Absolutely.
you with a temper or anything like that. I think that the moments that you're thinking of and talking about right now, and I could be wrong, were more triggering memories, not a temper. And I think that a lot of people do figure out how to trigger us and prey on those and stuff like that. So I think that when you are referring to temper and things like that, it's more like triggering.
Yeah.
And some people just trigger us, and some people do understand our trigger points or little triggers that will trigger us, and then back up and be like, oh, what's wrong with you? You know what I mean?
Right.
And then make you feel crazy.
And you know, you guys always talk about how I'm in my little bubble wrap.
Your little bubble wrap.
There's a reason why I'm in my little bubble wrap, because I had, like, my father had temper issues.
Yeah, right.
And I saw myself like that.
Maybe that's why we're all three friends.
And so there's times where like Trent was like, Maria, you just gotta, you know, because I hear myself yelling at my kids, and those are things I, you know, that I grew up with. And
That's
so
a
I'm
trigger
just
for
like,
you.
it kind of backs me up.
PTSD.
Yeah. And so y'all, like, I'm telling you, I had the worst temper growing up, like bad. It was so bad. Like, I used to hurt my sisters so bad.
Same.
And I think that's why I'm in that bubble, because I'm just, I
Protecting,
don't want,
like,
I don't want that.
your space.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
who's with you, who triggers you, what controls that.
And so when, you know, Trent rarely yells his voice, but when he does,
Is it triggering?
I crumble,
yeah.
because I'm like,
Yeah.
you know, like I
The
don't
little girl.
want.
That's what I'm saying. When you
that
grow
to come
up in
out.
that environment and you hear it, and it might not even be
Yeah.
towards you, it's jarring.
Because you don't know what I'm capable of doing if I get to that. Like, my mom used to always say that if Maria cries,
Watch out.
watch out, because I will literally, like, when I told, like, y'all don't know how strong I am, but if someone hurts my child, like, I will, you know,
Yeah.
like, my strength will come out.
It's
Like,
the
I will
mama
literally,
bear.
like,
You
know,
gotta like
I'm
Hulk?
Yes, like I'm telling you, like Trent makes fun of me because he was like, "How the heck are you so tiny, but you can pin me down?"
But Maria can fight.
Like
Maria could throw.
Hey, I just want to go
Throw
to
down.
the club and let's pick a fight. So
Let's have a girls' night and go pick a fight.
I'm sitting here crying with you because it's like we're talking about PTSD, and I was just thinking about it. I don't know if I've ever opened up like how my father passed away, but he passed away in his sleep.
Yeah.
And so like I'm like that still taunts me.
Of course it does, Maria.
So when I like yell, like not yet, when I lay down next to Trent, like I'm listening to him breathe. My kids. It's so.
Oh, because when they sleep, it scares
when they
you.
sleep, and it scares me.
Yeah.
now it makes sense why your kids sleep in the bed with you.
Oh, that makes sense.
When they're sick, they sleep in the
I'm
bed.
always like,
with
Maria,
me.
get those
Yeah, I'm like-
little
I'm like,
turds out of your bed.
But
That
I
makes so
have
much
to listen
sense.
to them
Yes.
breathe because it literally triggers.
Yeah,
me.
that makes so much sense, Maria. Just let those babies sleep in your bed.
like.
Yeah.
And then
They're
you
only
and
babies
Trent
for
keep
so
sneaking
long.
off to the other
Yeah,
room.
girl.
Like, oh my God, you guys, I didn't want to do this. But
No, it's
Sometimes
okay.
I think you just realize, like you might
Yeah.
not have realized till just now.
Yeah, maybe it
Yeah.
just like comes to the forefront, and that was how it was for me in EMDR.
Yeah,
like
that's what I was
the
just
things
about to
that I
say.
do, like with my kids, and how like like I'm so fearful of like when Taryn has a bad day, like my mind goes to like, is he gonna hurt himself?
Yeah.
Or is he gonna hurt others? And I don't want to project my insecurities or my childhood onto my son, but that's where my mind goes. Like I freak the fuck out.
And
Yeah.
I feel like that's why I have such bad anxiety. Like when Trent's traveling and he doesn't answer his phone right away, like everything
Just
Yeah.
pops up in
floods
my head.
into
I'm like,
you.
Yeah.
what the heck is going on? And I'm freaking out. And
I'll even speak from like going from a marriage into like newly like living with somebody and things like that now. Like I'll notice certain things like will come up for me that have nothing to do with him, but like that have happened in my marriage that, you know what I mean, that I will see like there. So one thing that I've noticed is, so my ex was never good to my son. They never had a relationship. I didn't feel like he was fair. I didn't feel like my son was even acknowledged as a person or like spoke to or anything like that. So I feel like I do get in the way a lot, like try to interject myself a lot when they're just like learning their way. You know what I mean? Because I'm so scared that it's going to be another thing like that where, which it's not at all. So that's what I'm talking about triggers right now, is where I'll be like, I'm thinking of him as my ex, not thinking of him as the loving like person that I know. And he's a great father and everything, but I just start thinking about, oh my gosh, I don't want a repeat of that, because I allowed it to go on for so long because I didn't understand how to I just was so non-confrontational that I feel bad for Brylan because he had to go through his whole life from age 6 to in his 20s, you know what I mean? Which was a long time to have to deal with that. And finally, Brylan was like, fuck it, fuck you. He finally, and we talked all through that. And I just feel bad that I didn't stand up for him a little bit
but
more.
I want you to know, because I've learned it in co-parenting class, because I feel like I was dealing with that on my side too. Like, maybe one relationship was better than the other, for my ex with my kids. And it's not on you and it's not on me. And don't think that you tolerated it. At the end of the day, he did that. It's on him. Mm-hmm. He needs to take ownership, and he probably never will.
No.
You know what I mean? But it's going to be okay, because Brylan had, he made it through that. Same if it goes with the littles, for either one of us, that's going to be on my ex. That's your relationship with your kids.
Yeah.
It doesn't affect me. It doesn't hurt me. If you're using that to try, all you're doing is affecting your own relationship with your kids. And so that has really taught me something good to be, because I was carrying that, you know, I was thinking oh, I can say something to make it better, or, oh, I can push them to make it right.
It's like you're trying to control the situation.
Right. And you can't,
No.
you have zero control.
And so sometimes G's like, hey, let us find, give us our time. Let us find our footing on our own. We're trying to learn each other and find our footing and all this stuff. And it's true. And I'll try to in the middle of it. And so you just have to learn how to back off and let them, learn how each other on a daily basis lives, and their mannerisms and their habits and their pet peeves and all, you know, all of the things like that. That's a lot.
Like have their own personal relationship
outside of you. You have to let them do that. But I think because in the back of my mind, I keep replaying like
your past,
the past, because the way that Brylan was treated, you know what I mean? And Brylan came to me, you know, after we, you know, filed for divorce and everything, and we were rehashing everything. And he's like, Mom, I'm not upset with you. You know, he actually came to me last year, and I don't think I ever told you, and, you know, apologized finally and told me, you know, how much resentment he had towards me and all this stuff. And I'm thinking, and it was cool that Brylan was woke enough, and, you know, he's more emotionally intelligent probably than my ex, like at this point, like to where he knew, like I was a 5 or 6, like resentment, like I'm a child growing up in the house, like that sounds so stupid, you know what I mean? And so Brylan told him, like, I don't have any interest in this relationship. I'm an adult. I'm out on my own. Like, sorry, not sorry, it's too late. You know what I mean?
Right.
And he had never told me that, but I found that very interesting. But he was strong enough to be like, no, I'm good, you know?
And it's, just look at him now.
Yeah.
Like, you're so proud of him.
Yeah, so proud of him.
So, like...
He's like a really cool kid.
Yeah.
I love the adult
cool.
kids.
Yes.
Like, it's so cool hanging out with the adult kids
so
now.
give yourself some grace. You did that.
I know, but, you know, you still, I mean, I don't think we're ever going to not beat ourselves up as parents or worry or feel like we're, like, fucking them up. You know what I mean? I don't know if we have another 10, but...
I'll put a 20.
But I just feel like we're always going to feel like our kids are going to be laying on the couch doing EMDR one day going, my mom,
well, it's so funny
my dad.
I told my sister, and I said, I pray to God my kids won't grow up and feel like they need
counseling.
They're all
because
of
do
my
it,
parenting.
Maria.
I don't know.
I'm Taryn in counseling right now. Like, and it's honestly been like the first, so I'll tell you this, and maybe if you think that one of your kids ever need to go counseling, or this is anybody that is listening. So when I sent Taryn this the first time, like when we were in marriage counseling and he had to go physically be there, he would just go and he pulled a Megan. Because when I was a little after my mother died, my dad made us go to counseling and I would just stare at the walls.
He went with y'all? I didn't know he ever went with y'all.
I made him go individually. Like,
individually.
Yeah, individually, not with us. But
I thought
in
there with you.
To Janet K,
gotcha.
Yeah. And he didn't ever, so finally he came out one day and she said, I don't need to come back because I won't talk to her. And I'm like, okay. So I just kind of like froze and shut down and then just let him stop going. So, you know, maybe a month and a half ago, I decided that it was time, like he was kind of acting out. And I'm like, in order for you, like one of the stipulations is you're going to go back to counseling. But this time my counselor, she FaceTimes. And Taryn is actually like really,
I think he likes it. He sounded like he liked it.
Thriving, you know, and I think maybe because he can relate more these kids, you know, like with FaceTime, and he doesn't feel like he's going somewhere like he's sick. And
think about it though. Think about it though. Kids don't do anything in person anymore. They don't even like to talk on the phone. They like to FaceTime.
That is
right.
true.
And she's
that makes sense.
And it's helped me. Like my counselor's like, Megan, you've raised an amazing kid. Everything, like all the doubts that I had and carried of like, for all those years, like my counselors helped me to know, she was like, he loves you, you know, like he speaks so highly of you.
You're being validated.
You know? Like, and I just, you want to think that your kids love you and that they respect you and that, you know what I mean? But
it's your words of affirmation.
Right. So I just didn't know, but
yeah.
With me, I just feel so guilty because I think, you know, like I yell a lot.
We all do,
I do know, but there's times where Tristan goes, Mom, all you do is yell. And so, you know, that hurts me.
Well,
and so I'm like, and I hear my mom in my head saying this.
When we're the old people, I
yell at you because I love you. Yeah. Like, but I'm like, am I really? Because Trent doesn't yell.
No.
My sister doesn't yell.
And so
my
I'm
sister
just like,
had 4 boys and would be like, go to your room.
Stephanie is like
whenever you come. I mean,
this might
mom.
need to be another episode about parenting because it's just I have mom guilt of disciplining my child because I like to be structured. But then
do you have this happen? Like every single morning you wake up and you're like, okay, today's going to be a good day. I'm not going to yell. I'm not going to lose my shit. And I'm not going to like, you know, do any of that. And then like literally you only get like 5 minutes in and then you're like, you know, and then you're like, well, tomorrow. You know,
and then you see social media about these
no,
moms
because
that
they make it
so-
look perfect.
and
It's not perfect, Maria.
That triggers me. I'm like, am I a good mom because am I not a good mom because I yell so much?
You are an incredible mother.
So that's my thing, and I'm just like, but that's where the
trigger.
PTSD comes from because
you need counseling.
I really
You need
do.
counseling.
my counselor.
I think you need counseling.
Yeah.
I think everybody needs counseling. I'm not
needs
saying you need
counseling,
counseling.
yeah,
I'm saying everybody needs counseling.
And I told Trent that a while back. I said, I think I need to just speak to and just open up about what I had to go through as a child.
Sometimes I just have to go like
and
once
y'all
a month.
know what I had, you know, like y'all know deep down, like
Yes, you need it.
I have some issues
Everybody
that
needs it.
I don't want to carry to my.
I'm gonna text you my counselor's number. She's got
man.
crazy 80s hair, big lashes. She's amazing.
Do her lashes touch her eyebrows?
Probably.
Yeah, I like those.
Yeah.
That was
PTSD.
interesting.
Hate it, but
I love
it's
this
live.
because we started off and she was like, "No, I'm not," and I passed her, and then she.
Comes back and then she hits it.
I don't know.
proud
There's
of
there's
you.
a lot
Ease into it.
more. There's a
But
lot
that's
more.
crazy. Like that was really interesting about the sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Like that makes so much sense.
And
Duh.
it's my husband knows.
So what was it that your dad passed away of sleep apnea?
apnea.
Yes.
And so Trent knows that if I call him and he doesn't call right back, he knows
You know.
he knows I'm gonna go crazy.
That you're gonna be triggered.
Yes. And so he'll text me before he'd be like, hey, I'm about to go do something. I'll call you when I'm done.
So that
Or-
at least calms your
Yeah.
trigger down.
Yes,
Yes.
because or else I will call him 5 times. There was a time when we were in New Orleans for one of his friends' wedding, and I couldn't get a hold of him. It was 5 o'clock in the morning.
Oh my
I
gosh.
was freaking out, and I thought I was like, "Oh heck, somebody shot him. Somebody's mad that they broke." You know, like I just
Your
think
anxiety
about
just
that.
went over and
Your
over.
mind just goes nuts.
Yes. But his phone died. And so it kept going straight to voicemail. And I was like, what the heck? And then here he comes walking in the hotel room. It's like, I'm so sorry, my phone died. Like I mean, he was out
Was
out
that
with
for
his
Charles?
friends. Yes.
So
And
don't worry.
he was like, Maria, I'm so sorry, my phone died. I was like, Trent, you have no idea. I couldn't sleep.
Yeah.
Like I just thought something bad. It was 5 o'clock in the morning, but New
Yeah.
Orleans. So this has gone, woo, this episode. But
It's all right.
At least we didn't talk about scroll talk.
right?
Or riding the train.
But we definitely need to talk about parenting because I feel like
Parenting and triggers.
like triggers as far as, you know, because I'm pretty sure we all go through.
So if you're listening and you have any topics that you want us to discuss, or if you have questions that you want us to answer or anything like that, please send them over
or
to
questions
us.
about what drinks we're drinking.
Oh yeah, this is the
Skinny margarita.
Skinny margarita.
I had someone
So-
ask me about my Starbucks drink.
Really?
Yeah.
What is your Starbucks drink?
It depends. Like today, I
feel like it was a
ordered
tea
like
or
a
something.
tea.
I'm not getting a tea.
Like then the
No.
brown sugar oat milk. I can drink anything.
I'm never getting oat milk either.
No.
I'm never getting a healthy drink. I'm never getting
I'm getting
tea.
I'm getting a coffee with
And
all
if you
the
see me
caramel.
carrying a matcha,
But then-
just something's wrong.
But then there's sometimes I just want a black coffee with half and half.
No.
Not that either.
No, me
So
neither.
it's
It's got to be creamy and sweet.
Yeah,
and-
I
It
love
all
all the
depends
sugar.
on my day. Anyways,
Yeah.
follow us on all socials. Like, subscribe. We need all the comments, all the love. Got Our Back podcast. Bye, guys.